Let's talk about the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, the RAAS. This is one of the most important blood control systems in your body. And in fact, the nursing school tells us that of all the topics we cover in Bio 202, this is probably overall the most important. And I know for a fact that when you get to nursing school, those of you heading for nursing school, they're going to hit you over the head with this during the first semester. So learning it now is going to save you from having to learn it for the first time later on. So let's take a look here. You have something in your blood right now called Angiotensinogen. Remember Angiotensinogen? Remember things that end in -ogen? What were those things? Those are zymogens. Those are molecules that are currently in an inactive form that once they become activated, then they can do something. So angiotensin is in your blood right now. Okay? Now the start of the whole renin-angiotensin aldosterone system is a drop in blood pressure. That's what starts this whole thing in motion, a drop in blood pressure. So a drop in blood pressure is going to be detected by the kidney. So the kidney detects the drop in blood pressure, and when it detects the drop in blood pressure, it releases a hormone called renin. Renin then is released into the blood, and once it gets into the blood, renin is going to be the agent that will convert the zymogen angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1, AT1. Now angiotensin 1 by itself doesn't do much of anything, but it's in your blood, and now as it rides through your body, eventually it's going to pass through the lungs. And the lungs are going to release an enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. So angiotensin converting, so it's going to convert angiotensin, angiotensin 1 specifically. So it's going to, ACE in the lungs is going to convert angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2, AT2. And oh my God, angiotensin 2, this is now when the magic happens. Let's put little orange sparkles all around it, because angiotensin 2, oh my God, this is going to cause all kinds of things to start happening. So again, just take a look at the start here, the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. This is all triggered by a drop in blood pressure. Detected by the kidney, releases renin, turns angiotensinogen at AT1. As it passes through the lungs, ACE converts AT1 into AT2. Let's look now at what AT2 can do. So angiotensin 2 does a lot of things inside of your body. Let's start taking a look. First thing let's take a look at is it's going to cause peripheral vasoconstriction. And we've seen this many times before, haven't we? Peripheral vasoconstriction. What is peripheral vasoconstriction going to do for you? Well, peripheral vasoconstriction is going to increase peripheral vascular resistance, doesn't it? And if we increase peripheral vascular resistance, what effect does increasing peripheral vascular resistance have? Increasing PVR increases blood pressure. So look at what we did here. Look at this cascade of events. This all started with a drop in blood pressure. Detected by the kidney, release renin, turn angiotensin to AT1, pass through the lungs, ACE turns into AT2. AT2 then acts directly on peripheral blood vessels to cause peripheral vasoconstriction, increased peripheral vascular resistance, and blood pressure has gone back up. Classic negative feedback loop. Homeostasis. We started with a drop in blood pressure, and through a series of events, we have now made blood pressure go up. Is that the cat's ass or what, huh? So, we're not even close to being done. Angiotensin 2 does other things as well. What other things does it do? Well, it goes to work in the pituitary, in the hypothalamus rather. Let's do that one first. It goes to work in the hypothalamus. And remember, the hypothalamus is the drive control center. You know, sex, aggression, thirst, hunger. So in the hypothalamus, it causes an increase in thirst. It causes you to be more thirsty. What do you do when you're thirsty? Well, you drink fluids. What happens when you drink fluid? Well, you're going to have more water in your body. If you have more water in your body, you're going to have more blood in your body. If you have more blood in your body, you're going to increase preload, right? If you increase preload, you increase stroke volume. And what happens if you increase stroke volume? Oh yeah, blood pressure goes up. So two different ways here. In response to a drop in blood pressure, angiotensin 2 is promoting two different pathways that both raise your blood pressure to solve the problem, to return you to homeostasis, all right? But we ain't even done yet. Oh my golly. So angiotensin 2 also goes to work in the pituitaries, but particularly the posterior pituitary. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of space here, so I'm just going to put pituitary. So it goes to work in the posterior pituitary. And in the posterior pituitary, it's going to cause the release of a hormone called ADH. So we're going to increase the release of ADH. ADH stands for anti-diuretic hormone. Diuresis means peeing, so anti-diuretic hormone means you pee less. This is going to have an effect in the kidney, all right? So now what's going to happen is the kidneys are going to save water. Normally water that would be put into the urine instead is going to stay in the blood. It'll be retained in the blood. So you're going to save H2O. What happens when you save H2O? Once again, you're going to increase preload, which means you're going to increase stroke volume, which means you are once again going to increase blood pressure. Stay. Increase blood pressure. You've got to be firm with these markers, otherwise they run away and you never find them. So, alright, so there we go. Three different methods now that angiotensin 2 has caused you to raise blood pressure. And we ain't even done yet. There's one more. So, in this case, what's going to happen is angiotensin 2 is going to go to work in the adrenal gland. Specifically, as we'll see when we get to the endocrine system, it's going to go to work in the zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex. But for right now, we're just going to put adrenal gland. In the adrenal gland, it's going to cause you to release a hormone called aldosterone. One of the dosterone brothers. You got aldosterone and benidosterone, the two dosterone brothers. So aldosterone, when we release aldosterone will be it'll go to work in the kidney. And this is the save sodium hormone. Save sodium. So we're going to save sodium. And if we save sodium, remember, what do we know about water and solutes? We're going to retain sodium in the blood. Normally this sodium would be getting put into the urine. But under the influence of aldosterone, this sodium will stay in the blood. Water and solutes, water follows solutes. Therefore, water will be pulled back into the bloodstream. If water is pulled back into the blood, that means we increase preload, which means we increase stroke volume. Oh man, I just barely made it. And that means we increase blood pressure again. Holy smoke! Look at that. The whole thing stimulated by this drop in blood pressure. The entire cascade of events to create AT2, and then AT2, the magic of AT2, works 4 different pathways, each one of which causes you to increase your blood pressure. Now, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system is a big deal because there are so many drugs that can work on this system. So, for example, there are drugs that can be renin inhibitors. What would a renin antagonist or inhibitor do? Well, a renin inhibitor would prevent the formation of AT2, wouldn't it? Or at least it would inhibit it, all right? You won't be converting as much angiotensinogen to AT1, therefore you won't have as much AT2. Therefore, what happens if you take a drug that inhibits renin? It will cause blood pressure to go down. There are also drugs, a very common drug for high blood pressure is an ACE inhibitor. I'll bet you might even know people who are taking ACE inhibitors. ACE inhibitor, once again, is going to prevent the formation of AT2. And if you prevent that or inhibit that, it's going to lower blood pressure. And it can work on these others as well. ADH, aldosterone, all right? We can have drugs that work on all of these different things. Why do you need to have drugs that work on all of them? Well, a lot of times you have patients who are taking multiple meds, and sometimes the different meds can clobber each other. So it might be somebody who's taken some other kind of med already can't take a drug that works on ADH because it interferes with the drug they're taking. So therefore, look, you've got alternate ways to do it. Maybe get a drug that works on aldosterone or on renin or on ACE and whatever, all right? So again, this is one of the most, if not the most, important blood pressure control system in the human body. And you really need to know every part of this. It's not that bad. Just, I would say, do this yourself a few times. Sit down with a blank piece of paper and see if you can work your way through the entire renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. I will ask you about this on quizzes and exams. In particular, I want you to know about renin, ACE, AT2, ADH, aldosterone, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, all right? So study it well. You need to know it. It's a big deal when you hit your next level. Text or email me with questions, all right?